Welcome back. This is Chicken Philosophy. The Secret of the Golden Flower, Part 16, in which I will continue reading aloud The Secret of the Golden Flower. If you would like to start at the beginning of this book and spend 6 episodes listening to like a few people in like Germany and Switzerland and a few other places like talking about the book, then you can start at episode 1. But if you want to start at the beginning of the actual Chinese translation of the text, then start with episode 6. Yeah, so the first 5 episodes, if I recall correctly, the first 5 episodes are the introductions and forwards and prefaces and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then episode 6 is where it actually begins. Here's the playlist, so you can make your choices. There you go. Okay, let's see. There's just a couple things that we do here before we actually get started with the reading. 1, light the incense. Now, this particular incense is called New Nag Champa. If you smoked cannabis in the 90s, and probably before and after, but I was a teenager in the 90s, so that's kind of the point that I'm aware of, then you are definitely familiar with Nag Champa because it was on the counter at the head shop where you got your pipe. And it's probably what you burned to throw the parental units off the scent of your shenanigans. So that's a similar... reminds me of Charlie's house. Anyway, okay, so that's the incense. Then there is the tea. So it's not really a Chinese tea ceremony. It's more of a chicken philosophy tea ceremony. No expression. Okay, good. We're getting better. And now we'll do the I Ching. Editor Edward, would you mind, could you choose a coin for us?
Certainly. Let's see here. What do we got? What do we got? This is a little... My OCD isn't happy about that. Oh. I saw one. That looked rather nice. Yeah, this one. This one looks rather nice. What is that? Oh, we'll use this one.
Thank you. Very nice. So here, as you saw on one side, it says no cash value, meaning this was probably, I'm guessing, from an arcade. My intuition tells me it's from the arcade at Santa Monica Pier, but I could be wrong. It could be for a restroom as well. And then on the other side is this patriotic-looking eagle. So there we go. For whatever it's worth, that's the coin that we're going to be using to divine our I Ching figure for today that's going to go up here. Let's get to it. No cash value is, of course, broken line. And then the eagle is solid line. Decided to stop saying unbroken to refer to solid, right? It's sort of like calling an alive person not dead. Like, never mind. Anyway. Okay, heads. So we got a solid line here. Hopefully my memory is working today. Tails. Okay. Heads. So heads, tails, heads. Heads, heads, tails. Okay, let's turn up the music while I look that one up. Okay, I'm fairly certain that the top 3 is lake, the bottom 3 is fire. Ooh, lake of fire. We were just talking about Book of Revelation. So that's figure 43. Coal, K-O, coal, revolution. Devotion to truth enables a revolution. Cool. Yeah, well, there it is. Viva la revolution and whatnot. Should I bring out my Should I bring out my I'll just go ahead and begin the reading, and we'll see if this relates in any way to revolution. Maybe figurative, like revolutions happen on various levels. There's various types. There's the French one, there's the American one, there's various communist ones. And in ancient times, obviously, I Ching is very old, thousands of years old. They had revolutions too in old times. People would get together and overthrow, a corrupt tyrant and what have you. Okie dokie. The pupil has already penetrated in his work into mysterious territory. But if he does not know the method of melting, it is to be feared that the elixir of life will hardly be produced. Therefore, the Master has revealed the secret strictly guarded by the former holy men. When the pupil keeps crystallized spirit fixed within the cave of energy, and at the same time lets greatest quietness hold sway, then out of the obscure darkness a something develops from the nothingness, that is, the golden flower of the Great One appears. At this time, the conscious light is differentiated from the light of human nature. Therefore, it is said, quote, to move when stimulated by external things leads to its going directly outward and creating a man. That is the conscious light, end quote. If at the time the true energy has been sufficiently collected, the pupil does not let it flow directly outward, but makes it flow backward. That is the light of life. The method of turning the water wheel must be applied. If one continues to turn, the true energy returns to the roots, drop by drop. Then the water wheel stops. The body is clean. The energy is fresh. One single turning means one heavenly cycle. What Master Chiug has called a small heavenly cycle. If one does not wait to use the energy until it has been collected sufficiently, it is then too tender and weak, and the elixir is not formed. If the energy is there and not used, then it becomes too old and rigid, and then, too, the elixir of life will hardly be produced. When it is neither too old nor too tender, then is the right time to use it purposefully. This is what the Buddha means when he says, quote, the phenomenon flows into emptiness, end quote. This is the sublimation of the seed into energy. If the pupil does not understand this principle and lets the energy flow out directly, then the energy changes into seed. This is what is meant when it is said, quote, emptiness finally flows into phenomena. End quote. But every man who unites bodily with a woman feels pleasure first and then bitterness. Speak for yourself, Master Chiu. Never mind. When the seed has flowed out, the body is tired and the spirit weary. Well, if that's your definition of bitterness, then I suppose we just need to define our terms. Sometimes so many disagreements can be resolved if you just define your terms. What do you mean, fascist? Like that kind of thing. Speaking of which, I had a troll from after part 15 who commented, are you taking money from that fascist organism called Buddhism? Or did I say organism? Organization. Right, yeah. There are Buddhist organizations, but obviously, why even respond? It was a long rant, and then he was also saying, this has nothing to do with Golden Dawn, because of course I was Frater BT in part 15, and so Frater BT comes from a Golden Dawn background, and so of course someone coming from a Golden Dawn background cannot discuss anything except for Golden Dawn. All you can do is repeat the scripts that were written in 1888, repeat them again, analyze them within their own terms. You're not allowed to talk about anything else. Don't veer off into 1902 territory. God forbid. Thank you. Thank you for challenging me, challenging my ability to not become angry when someone comes at you with a bunch of bullshit. He called himself Tyrant Mao. See, I'm giving you airtime. Someone who's aware that Mao is a tyrant, calling Buddhism a fascist organization, strikes me as ironic. But I don't think he intends to be ironic. He almost seems like an AI bot. A very specific kind of AI bot. But anyway, yeah. Secret of the Golden Flower isn't Buddhism, but I guess it does mention Buddha, so, I do these long-form things specifically to kind of step out of that territory where if I just post a photograph of something, people can make all kinds of assumptions. If I write something, even if it's a paragraph, people can make all kinds of assumptions about where I'm coming from. And so I very much prefer to just let it all out there, just lay it all out. And if somebody wants to take the time to hear what I have to say, then they'll know where I'm coming from. They'll know that, yeah, I was a hardcore Golden Dawner back in the 90s. Maybe in 2001, I might have been the guy out on the internet trolling people saying, this isn't real Golden Dawn. So it's probably karma that this guy comes at me. But, obviously there was Lord Buddha, and there's many organizations that are Buddhist, just like there's many organizations that are Christian. And I'll admit some of the organizations, the Buddhist organizations, might even veer toward what could be accurately described as fascism, especially the ones that are like sort of nationalistic oriented. And in Burma, I'll stop talking. I'll just get to the text. I wasn't going to say anything, but you know how it is when I wear the hat. And especially if I have something in mind that I'm intentionally I'm not going to talk about that. I'm just going to ignore it and not talk about it. Then I'm going to talk about it. I know I'm going to talk about it. But I've tried to, at the very least, as mentioned in something recently, wait until like the first 6 or 7 minutes have passed, so that I'm at least talking to the people that are like actually watching the video, and not the people who are like testing it out. Like, is this something I might want to watch? And I just start talking in the first 30 seconds about, there's this asshole that commented, you know, that it's going to turn people off. Lost 3 subscribers from that Martin Luther, but then gained one from the Teilhard de Chardin from before. It's just fun to observe these things happening, the ebbs and flows. There were a bunch of new people that came from the Gothic, Carl Jung, the Gothic themed one that started out in black and white. This is the water. Remember that? Yeah, again, people see 30 seconds of something and go, oh, this is my kind of thing, subscribe. And then later they see me, let's talk about Martin Luther. This isn't my kind of thing, unsubscribe. And then someone else might be like, this is my kind of thing. I love Martin Luther as a Protestant Christian myself, and a devoted one at that. And then they see like 5 minutes into it, and then they're like, oh, wait a minute, this is not my thing. So yeah, that's long form, requires a little bit of attention and all that. But yeah, it's definitely my preference as opposed to just like posting memes and stuff. Reaction bait. Like stuff that kind of just sort of makes you spontaneously react. Like, oh, this person's so stupid. Like, never mind. Okay, I will just go on now. You've had your 15 minutes of fame, Mr. Mao. So you're welcome. It wasn't quite 15 minutes, more like 5 minutes. This is the sublimation of the seed into energy, yes. But every man who unites, we read that. It is quite different when the adept lets spirit and energy unite. That brings first purity and then freshness. When the seed is transformed, the body is healthy and free. There is a tradition that the old master Pang grew to be 800 years old because he made use of serving maids to nourish his life. But that is a misunderstanding. In reality, he used the method of sublimation of spirit and energy. In reality, he used the method of sublimation of spirit and energy. What? What? Yes. In the elixir of life, symbols are used for the most part, and in them the fire of the clinging, Li, is frequently compared to a bride. And the water of the abyss to the boy, puer aeternus. No doubt that was a Richard Wilhelm-ism that he threw in there. I don't think that was in the original Chinese, the Latin phrase. From this arose the misunderstanding about Pang having restored his virility through women. These are errors that have forced their way in later. But adepts can use the means of overthrowing the abysmal, Kan, and the clinging, Li, only when they have sincere intention in the work. Otherwise, a pure mixture cannot be produced. The true purpose is subject to the earth. The color of the earth is yellow. Pymander Aquarian, could you remind us what you said in that recent part 4 of your Shingon Buddhism video? It's just, it reminds me of the tattvas in, at least in the Western esoteric version of, they claim that it comes from Jainism, but I've never actually seen it presented that way in Jainism. But there's these tattvas up here in Golden Dawn tradition. The king scale color for Malkut is yellow, so there's a connection. Perhaps, I mean, in that sense, the queen scale being the highest that a human being could possibly comprehend is citrine, olive, russet, and black, the classic colors of like leaves and dirt and things like that. Where the king scale, by definition, is beyond the human's ability to comprehend. So yellow, being a color for earth, might seem odd because it's beyond our ability to comprehend with the human mind. Yeah, yellow, earth. In Shingon Buddhism and in the Tattvas as they are presented in the Golden Dawn and in The Secret of the Golden Flower, yellow, earth. It's fun because like in Wicca and like Western kind of stuff, yellow is used for air. Now when you think about it, it doesn't make that much more sense to use yellow as air than it does for earth. What about the air is yellow? I mean, okay, the sun is yellowish and it's up in the air, but it's more of a fiery looking thing, but so they use green or black or brown for earth in the West, and yellow for air, blue for water. That's pretty obvious, although you could use blue for air, and they do in the Tattvas because the sky is blue, right? And red for fire. That's pretty universal, although fire looks pretty yellow. I mean, what's red about this? Who's looking at this and going, oh yeah, red? I mean, I guess when it's burning out, when it's like less hot, that's kind of reddish, but even that is a little bit orange. Okay, anyway, I'll just keep reading. And who looks at red gold? Why are you calling it red? It's like more of a yellowish orange, if anything, if you're going to put it on the rainbow, right? Sorry. Okay, back to this. The golden color is white. What? Yes. The color of earth is yellow. Therefore, in books on the elixir of life, it is symbolized by the yellow germ. When the abysmal and the clinging unite, the golden flower appears. The golden color is white. And therefore, white snow is used as a symbol. But worldly people who do not understand the secret words of the book of the elixir of life have misunderstood the yellow and white there, in that they have taken it as a means of making gold out of stones. Is that not foolish? Yeah. You find something similar talked about in reference to alchemy in the Fama Fraternitatis, which you can hear Freder B.T. read by clicking there if you want to. If you're into hearing me with various faces, I mean this face with various outfits, reading things, you can. Fama Fraternitatis. It's when the Rosicrucians announced that they existed to the world. It was through that document. Okay, and they also talk about, hey, trying to make physical gold out of lead or whatever is a perversion of the sacred art of spiritual alchemy, this kind of thing. So, I've never mind. Okay, doodly-doo. But worldly people who do not... Yes. An ancient adept said, quote, formerly, every school knew this jewel. Only fools did not know it wholly. W-H-O-L-L-Y, not. Never mind. End quote. If we reflect on this, we see that the ancients really attained long life by the help of the seed energy. November's coming up, guys. Present in their own bodies, and did not lengthen their years by swallowing this or that sort of elixir. But the worldly people lost the roots and clung to the treetops. Is that code? Yeah, I mean, it's a metaphor. The book of the elixir also says, quote, when the right man, parentheses, white magician, end parentheses, I'm sure by that they mean good magician, makes use of wrong means, the wrong means work in the right way. End quote. So if you're a good person, you can do the wrong thing, and it'll work out for good. There's a new justification for you to do every terrible thing that you could possibly do, down to the very lowest, most despicable. I sound like I'm making a joke, but I've seen people do that. I've seen people actually, well, since I walk in the light of Christ, then I can invoke the Klipot to attack my ex-wife, and, it's all for Christ, because by being my enemy and trying to take away custody of my kids, she is the enemy of Christ, because I am the chief adept of the order of light chosen by the third order to bring peace to Jerusalem. No shit. I've witnessed that. So be careful with this one. That's all I'm saying. If you're a good magician, be a little skeptical of this kind of logic. That's all I'm saying. By this is meant the transformation of seed into energy. Quote, but if the wrong man uses the right means... All right. Okay, thank you. That was fun. I don't know whose song that is off the top of my head, so we're going to put the album cover here, and the link is in the description. Okay. Where were we? When the right man... Right, but if the wrong man uses the right means work in the wrong way, end quote. By this is meant the bodily union of man and woman, from which spring sons and daughters. Okay. Yeah, okay. I mean, okay. Let's just analyze this for a second, because it's interesting. If the wrong man uses the right means, and the right means is to conceive a baby. Apparently, in this context, that seems to be what he's saying. To use the seed to do what seed do. Then you can have a baby. But if you're the wrong man... I mean, point to more than a billion different examples of the wrong man having a child. And that working out not so well. Objective truth is that. So now that we have this... now let's revisit the previous line that led me to go off on that tangent that was not quite apparently what these words are specifically referring to. When the right man makes use of the wrong means, which is semen retention, apparently, then it works out for the best. Okay, by this is meant the bodily union of, the fool wastes the most precious jewel of his body in uncontrolled lust, and does not know how to conserve his seed energy. When it is finished, the body perishes. Yeah, you'll run out eventually. And you just run out. It's like running out of gas. And then you're like, oh, ran out. Sorry. I mean, it's a funny idea, but... Okay, anyway. The holy and wise men have no other way of cultivating their lives except by destroying lusts and safeguarding the seed. Not in a jar. It means leaving it inside the body. Silly. Right. The accumulated seed is transformed into energy, and the energy, when there is enough of it, makes the creatively strong body. The difference shown by ordinary people depends only upon how they apply the downward flowing way or the backward flowing way. Up the spine and down the front. Like that. Okay. The whole meaning of this section is directed towards making clear to the pupil, the meaning of filling up the oil when meeting life. Here, the eyes are the chief thing. The two eyes are the handle of the polar star. Even as heaven turns about the polar star as a center point, so among men the right intention must be the master. Therefore, the completion of the elixir of life depends entirely on the harmonizing of the right purpose.
Wait a minute! What's happening to my special purpose?
Thank you, Steve Martin. Then, if it is said that the foundation can be laid in 100 days, first of all, the degree of industry in work and the degree of strength in the physical constitution must be taken into account. Whoever is eager in the work...
I'm gonna be so fucking eager.
Thank you, Mallory. Has a strong constitution, succeeds more quickly in turning the water wheel of the rear river. Okay. Yeah. When a person has found the method of making thoughts and energy harmonize with one another, he can complete the elixir within the 100 days. But whoever is weak and inert will not produce it even after the 100 days, when the elixir is completed. Spirit and energy are pure and clear. The heart is empty. Human nature, Hasing, manifests, and the light of consciousness transforms itself into the light of human nature. Hasing is the one that he... Right, okay. Heart, mind, origin. That's the two parts of the Chinese figure of Hasing. Okay, it translates it human nature. If one continues to hold firmly the light of human nature, the abysmal and the clinging fire, Li, have intercourse spontaneously. When the abysmal and the clinging commingle, the holy fruit is born. Martin Luther, take note. That's how you use the word fruit in the same sentence as sexy stuff without being disgusting. All right, for the people who are watching the other things besides Secret of the Golden Flower, you might have giggled, I don't know. The ripening of the holy fruit is the effect of a great heavenly cycle. Fructus ventris tui. Anybody? Further elucidation stops when the method of the method of the heavenly cycle. This book is concerned with the means of cultivating life and shows at first how to start by looking at the bridge of one's nose. I can't read while I do that. Here, the method... Oh, the bridge, that's up here, right? The method of reversing is shown. The methods of making firm and letting go are in another book. The Hasu Meng Fang methods of prolonging life. Personally, I am not against, and nay, I am even for, methods of prolonging life that don't interfere too much with life. I have observed in others that one can become a little too focused on prolonging life at the expense of Buddhist detachment for those on the Buddhist path. Or, no, I guess that's it. That's my whole thing. There isn't really much more to say about that. I would rather live with the feeling of being free and being not like ready for death, but like, yeah, a little bit. Accepting it. One day we'll read this Hagakure up here, the samurai way. Every day you look yourself in the mirror and realize you are looking at a corpse. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Accept this and go about your day knowing that you are already dead. Then when the moment comes, you will not hesitate. This kind of thing. That's if you're a samurai. But I'm just talking about if you're a dude, Not to say one should have zero survival instinct. You should have a jolt of adrenaline that makes you avoid stepping out in front of a car. You should. It's important to do things in a way that's safe for yourself and for the people around you. There is a high level of importance to that. But I think I've observed people cling too much to life at the expense of any kind of peace, where the possibility for peace can be immediately taken away by the threat to one's longevity or something like that. And anyway, that's my only, with people who are drawn to practices like this or things that, it's one of those things when someone wants to be a shady guru or whatever, false guru, they want to sell something. They'll either sell you, women are going to want you, or you're going to make lots of money, or this is long life. The first two are probably a little bit stronger motivators because they're more immediate. As folks get a little older, then maybe they'll start thinking more about the third one. And if for no other reason than to avoid being a mark or a victim of con men, is basically what a mark is in that context. Or when a person wants to sell something and they're looking for who's the best person for me to sell this to. That person. Like when I went to Nepal wearing my I Love Tibet shirts, and then I was a mark for everybody who was selling something. Anyway, I don't know. Incomplete thought or complete thought expressed in an incomplete way. There's more I could say, but I think I said everything that I need to say in order to communicate what I felt I wanted to communicate about that. And so I enjoyed today's reading. It seems to contradict some of the modern scientific fact that, or theory that states that you should allow semen to come out of your body, either through intercourse or self-generated on a semi-regular basis, that decreases the risk of certain health risks. I've heard that. I'm not a doctor myself, but if you're into longevity, then you may want to look into that. It may actually be better for a long life for you to go ahead and allow these things to happen every so often, once a week, once every 2 weeks is fine. But if you're into following hardcore, old-timey, traditional, old-timey ways, traditional ways of achieving mystical union, following paths that were laid out long before people started experimenting on rats and developing modern medicine, then that's also a path that's open to you. The results may not be what they purport to be as much as following the advice of a doctor, but if what you're after is the feeling of walking a path like this, then you're free to do that, and I have no issue with such a one. If that makes sense. I guess I'll close now. I don't know. Am I saying anything? I don't even know if I'm saying anything. But, yeah. All right. So, good. Next time it'll be BT reading the Meccan Revelations. Until then.